Hello, everyone. My name is Harini Krishnan, and I go to Folsom High School. Welcome to Know Your Charity, a talk show series that I'm honored to be hosting this year. The intent of this series is to bring on various leaders and representatives of different nonprofit and charitable organizations in the community to come and tell us a little bit about what their organization does for the community. I hope that through this series, we will get to hear about the great humanitarian work that these organizations do and how we can help out in the community. Today, I have with me Gina Mulligan, who is the author of 2 historical novels and the nonfiction Dear Friend, Letters of Encouragement, Humor, and Love for Women with Breast Cancer. After her own diagnosis, Gina founded Girls Love Mail in 2011. She's been featured on the NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, The Steve Harvey Show, People.com, Today.com, and the Oprah Magazine. Thank you so much, Gina, for coming and talking to me today. I really, really appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. So let's get started. So what is Girls Love Mail?
So Girls Love Mail, we collect handwritten letters of encouragement for women who are newly diagnosed with breast cancer. So it's very much like letters to the troops, but in this case, the letters go to our breast cancer warriors. So it's a very easy program for anyone to join.
That's great. I love that connection. And is it just letters that you guys are writing, or could it be anything else?
It is just letters. So we're pretty focused, and it is only handwritten letters. So no emailing, no photocopying. So it's really taking a piece of paper, and it's really any paper you have at home or note card that fits in our envelopes. And you write dear friend or dear sister, so a few kind words, and then you send them to us, and we're based in Folsom, and then we get them out through cancer centers around the country.
Okay. And you mentioned, is it a countrywide operation?
It is. So letters only go out to patients here in the United States. And we work with 165 cancer centers all over the country. But letters come in from all over the world, actually, because of the internet and Facebook and posting and all those good things. We get letters from all over the world, primarily in English. We get a few letters in other languages. We always have a need for letters in Spanish. So if anyone does write in Spanish, there are Spanish clubs out there that want to take this on as a project, we would love that. But we have had letters from really all over the world, and which is really fun to watch for us.
That is so cool. I love that. And so who really benefits from these letters?
Well, it's interesting. When we started the program, we knew that women who are newly diagnosed with cancer, as myself, would benefit, right? So you're newly diagnosed. It's very scary when you're new because you don't know what treatment you're going to have. And so a letter from a survivor or even a friend or someone, even a young person saying, you're not alone. You're going to get through this. It's really encouraging. And unlike an email or a text message, letters are very tangible. They're very healing because you can reread them and you can see them. They are tactile, right? So that part is very healing. What we didn't expect was how healing and how beneficial it was for the letter writers. And what we found is that letter writers tell us over and over again how much they enjoyed writing the letters. And that's from all age groups. In fact, our largest segment of letter writers really are young people. I think it's a little bit retro to pick up a pen. And, it's old school, but there's something actually very cathartic about it. It's a new feeling, but it's actually very kind of pleasurable to do that. And when you get done, you have this actual tangible item, right? And I think it's actually fun for young people. So we find a lot of benefit for both letter writer and recipient.
Yeah, I think that's so great. I know from just in general, just writing a letter just has a different feeling to it.
It does.
Yeah.
And we keep them, right? I mean, I don't know, most people do, but if you get a nice special letter from someone, you tend to keep them. Whereas emails, we delete and all the rest, go away and vanish.
Yeah. And as a organization itself, how do you operate? Do you have employees or is it more volunteers?
It's all volunteers, including myself. So there are about 16, 17 volunteers that come in and help me. We do read every letter. So we have guidelines. So every letter has to meet the guidelines. And that really is the longest part, is reading all the letters. So these amazing, wonderful volunteers. I love them to death. They help me. So we read the letters, we package them in our special envelope, we get them out through cancer centers, and just kind of, maintenance of doing all that is really the most of the volunteer work. But we are 100% volunteer run.
Okay, and could you share with us some of these guidelines? So if one of our viewers want to write any letters?
Sure. Well, they're all posted on our website, and we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so basically, the main couple guidelines are, first of all, it is a letter, right? So you're writing dear friend, dear sister, and not just writing a quote. It actually needs to be an official letter with 3 or more sentences. We want them to be words of encouragement. So not mentioning things like people dying from illnesses. And we used to get that. And in fact, we still do get that sometimes. So not mentioning death, not having any kind of bad language. We don't know the recipient. We don't know their stage. We don't know what they were diagnosed, stage 1 or 4. We don't know their treatment. So trying to keep it a little more general is the best. So that's also part of our guidelines. And then part of that is watching your language. And so even like cancer sucks, which is a really common phrase, we actually stay away from that as well, only because you don't know the fragile mindset of someone going through this. And again, you don't know what they were just told. They may have been told they've got stage 4 very aggressive cancer in a very fragile mindset. So that's one of the guidelines. We stay away from religion, for example. We don't know the religion, so we don't want to give quote scriptures or any other religions. We just kind of say, just say you're thinking of them, you're got them on your mind, and stay away from religion. So those are the main guidelines we see kind of that people can tend to lean towards if they're going to make a mistake, would be those kind of main pieces. And then signing the blood letter, making sure it is handwritten and not photocopied or typed. Once in a while we get a typed letter. But those are the main ones. And it's pretty easy to follow if you just kind of take your time. And our biggest rule too, I'll mention that because this is our young people's kind of thing. We really want quality over quantity. So you'd rather get one really beautiful thought through letter than 5 or 6 just dashed off letters. And I think sometimes we tend to think if we can do more, it's more helpful, but that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, for sure. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for these volunteers who want to write letters, is there a certain age limit or selection process that they need to go through?
No age limit, no selection process. Our youngest letter writers were 2nd graders. So it's not really selection. It's really is the guidelines. So if they go to girlslovemail, MAIL.com, they can read the guidelines. You'll see what to say is a tab. There's sample letters. There's FAQs. So all kinds of really guidelines. And if you really just take a minute to really read the samples, get a feel for the letters, you'll be fine. And like I said, take your time and write from the heart, and you really can't go wrong. And if everyone just does a couple really nice letters, you remember that one letter goes to one woman. So unlike other charities where maybe your money's pooled together, your efforts are pooled together, we're not like that. Whatever you do in that letter, that one letter will go to one woman. So even if you write one beautiful letter, you're helping that one person, and that's that personal connection. So if you think about that when you're writing, you'll take your time and write something really nice.
Yeah, I totally believe that for sure. And for all of these letters, how do you get the funds to run your organizations?
We are funded by grant money, by donations, corporate donations primarily, some personal donations. We're pretty lean budget because we are volunteers. So yeah, we do not ask for any money from volunteers or from letter writers. It's mainly, like I said, grant money, corporate donations.
Okay, that's cool. And are there any success stories that you have on your mind that you would like to share with us?
Oh, sure. Yeah. We hear from letter writers, not real often, because certainly they're newly diagnosed. And the first thing isn't to run to us and thank us for the letter. We've been around now 10 years. So over the years, we'll get writers that thank us. A couple really nice ones. One in particular jumps out because the woman wrote to thank us that the letter she got was the only letter she had. She didn't have a lot of support. And that's something to think about. We, especially younger people, families, you got friends, you have a lot of support system typically. And if you have a large support system, we tend to think everyone does. And that really isn't the case. This woman, for example, had no friends and family really involved. She was in the area that she had just moved to, so was by herself. And that one letter she got was on her nightstand. She read it every night before bed for a year, took it with her to every doctor's appointment. So again, if you're thinking about what you're writing in that letter, think about that letter might be all this person has, and reading it every night before bed. That's what that letter meant to that person. Another great story was a woman that wrote to me that she loved butterflies, just loved butterflies. And we had sent out over 100,000 letters by this point. And the letter that she got out of 100,000 was a card covered in butterflies. And so the card really meant that much to her because it felt like it was meant for her. So, we feel like the cards kind of go where they're supposed to go. We've sent out over 200,000 letters since we've started. We're at 205,000 letters. So if we think about one letter goes to one woman, we've helped over 200,000 women, which is staggering. And it really is an important message to remind everyone that even just doing a little bit, what that can do, right? It's like a big snowball of really caring. It's kind of a circle of caring. And I'll say this as a challenge, a positive success story, I can say it, for letter writers is we had a high school that did a Girls Love Mail Day, and they wrote 2,000 letters in one day. So I will challenge Folsom High if you want to get your students together, see if they can beat that. No one has yet, but so those are some stories that have been successful, and there's lots of good stories, and I think just the letter writers themselves saying how much it meant to them to be a part of it, to know the letter meant something to someone, also is a good story for us.
Yeah, for sure. It's always a very big pleasure just to hear about something that you did affected someone positively. And
Yeah.
It's always good to hear about those stories.
Oh, definitely. And we know that even anecdotally, just in general, just thank you. I got the letter. Thank you so much. It meant so much. Just general emails. And we may never know whose letter went to who. We may never know it was your letter, but it might have been your letter. So you can take that and say, hey, maybe that was mine that did that. You don't know.
Yeah. And so when you go give these letters to the cancer centers, do you just drop them off, or do you ever go and give them to individual patients?
We do mail them primarily to the centers, although locally I have dropped some off. I have met a couple of recipients, so that's been really nice. So, but primarily we don't see them. They go through what's called patient or nurse navigators who meet with patients. So we'll mail a bunch of letters, 10 letters, 50 letters, depends on the size of the cancer center each month. And then they work with the patients. So we're kind of removed. So hearing from patients is always nice because we're not involved in that part of it.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And so coming out of this pandemic, what are some of the challenges that you have faced?
Well, it was tough. We have office space in Folsom that we get donated. So that office closed down. So we were not able to use that. So for about 2 months, we couldn't get in the office at all. And what we found was that people were still writing letters. And in fact, more people were writing letters because they were home and found us and thought, oh, this is a great thing to do while we're home. So we started getting more and more letters, but we couldn't read them and got behind. Mm-hmm. The same thing, while we're doing that, the cancer centers couldn't take the letters and we're seeing less patients. So we started getting a really big stockpile of letters. We're catching up now, but we slowly came back in the office. What we're seeing now from the pandemic is women who put off their mammograms and put off going to the doctors are now starting to come in, and more are getting diagnosed. So we're seeing more cancer centers requesting more letters now, which is a little bit sad for us. We'd rather see letter counts go down, not up. And so we are definitely seeing that as coming out with the COVID coming out, hopefully coming out of COVID. So it's been a long couple of years for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always a little sad when you have patients that are newly getting diagnosed and they need more letters. I know.
Yeah.
Hearing about it, it's saddening, but I think hopefully these letters will cheer them up and at least give them the motivation to persevere and get through it.
I hope so. We hope so. That's certainly that's exactly what you can say in a letter, just like that. We hope this helps you get through this and persevere, that you can do this. And that is a perfect wording for a letter right there.
Yeah. And so what made you come up with this idea of Girls Love Mail?
Yeah, well, as a survivor, so I was going through treatment. I'm a writer. The book that I was working on was a book of letters. So when I was diagnosed, I was working on fictional letters, and I received over 200 notes and cards from people I did not know. They were kind of friends of friends. And so they really helped my journey, and they helped in my healing. So when I got done with my treatment, I thought, gosh, I want to pay this forward. And so many people I met, and you tend to meet the same women day to day when you're going through like radiation treatment and things, they didn't have a lot of support. And I thought, well, gosh, I could get letters. We could do letters. And it started very small. It got big very quickly, but it really was kind of a way to say, well, this is something I know how to do. And it meant a lot to me. Why can't we share this with others? And that's how it started. And I encourage anyone who's got an idea, really, you just got to start. You just have to put it down on paper and just start.
Yeah, that is so true. And it's so great that you were able to just come out of it and start something to help the larger community. And I really, really appreciate that. I think everybody who receives a letter or even writes a letter, I think they appreciate it a lot.
Thank you. I think it's been fun to watch it grow. And it's been fun also, people who have told me that they wrote a letter or part of Girls Love Mail, and it inspired them to go start other charities or go do other charitable work, not letters, but even their own causes. So I think that's great that it's inspiring other people. And I do think doing charitable work, what you're doing, being involved in charities, it kind of just helps you feel better about the world, and you can go take that forward and go do something else with that and spread that kind of caring. I think that's really important.
Yeah, for sure. Would you like to share with our viewers where they can drop off any letters or any website where they can get more information about the letters?
Sure. The best place is just go to the website. So it's girlslovemail.com. So MAIL. Let's just make sure that's clear. So it's girlslovemail.com. It's all right there. There's a little join us. If you want to give me your information, you'll be on our email list for just updates and information. So it's just me. The email comes from me. But that's also all the guidelines, the information. We also have group kits. So if you want to do a group party, letter writing is a great party idea. You're having friends over and you want to add something kind of different. It's a group kit. It's all free. Just download it. It's got stationery you can print, all the information, samples. It's kind of fun. And you can write letters together. You can decorate them. You can color, do designs. People do all kinds of art projects on them and write the letter in the back. Go for it. Be creative, but within the guidelines. We don't want extra things in the letters like bookmarks or crafts or things because it's too heavy and the postage is very expensive. But other than that, you can go crazy and make them creative as you want. We've had people, gosh, fold them all funky and write in circles. And I mean, all you young people are great. You guys are awesome. So yeah, it's a fun kind of event to do with groups, but everything's out on the website. So girlslovemail.com really is the place to go.
Okay, that's awesome. And hopefully we get more volunteers who can come and write more. Yeah, who can come and write more letters. That's all I really had. Thank you so much. I loved learning about all that your organization does, and I really hope all our viewers enjoyed. I would love to hear your comments and feedback. You can email me at knowyourcharity5@gmail.com if you have any. And I hope to see you all next time. Thank you so much for listening.